significantly easier, at least you could have fewer places that you could wind up with a mistake. Agreed? Again, though, another error that could happen is, what if we don't have coefficients that are the same number? Remember, rules of yesterday. You can change equations as long as you do the same thing to everything. Just like yesterday when you multiplied everything by a -1. So what if they gave us 5x plus 6y equals -8 and 2x plus 3y equals -5? I have a 5 and a 2 and a 6 and a 3. Neither of those match perfectly. So you pick one of them. You want to match x's or you want to match y's? Okay, what number are you going to get them to both be? 6. Do you have to do anything to the first one? No. The second one, we really want it to be a -6. Agreed? So what should I multiply by? Okay, here's the mistake that some of you fell into. Make sure you multiply everything by -2, Maya says after she was super frustrated with herself yesterday. A lot of you do the first, the x and the y, but you forget that on the other side of the equal sign. So let's stack this. If I multiply by -2, what do I end up with? -4x minus 6y equals positive or -10? Positive 10. Okay, so when you combine these, 5x plus a -4x, 1x, your y's cancel, -8 plus 10. 2. So that in that case, we got down to 1x in that one step, so we don't have to do anything else. You can plug it in. You want to plug it into the 5x or the 2x? 2x. Okay, so we go 2 times 2 plus 3y equals -5. 2 times 2, 4 plus 3y equals -5. Then I should -4, 3y equals -9. Then divide by 3y equals -3. Okay, so what is different of yesterday versus today? Okay, you might have to multiply by a number other than -1, right? So you're just trying to match the coefficients. They're very, very similar. Don't cross off the one on the bottom, but flip to the back. This one's not as pretty. Now we're going to have to multiply both of them. So you want to match x's or y's? Y's. Y's, what are you going to match them to? 6. So what are you going to multiply the left one by? 3. And you would end up with... Now, careful. We did a positive 3. So 12x plus 6y equals 24. Now Jackson's got us remembering that we have to make sure we have opposite signs. So if we're going to cancel the y's, I already have a positive 6y, so I need to multiply to get myself a -6y. So I'm going to multiply by a -2. Now Jackson, technically, if you would have multiplied by a negative there, then you would have just multiplied by a positive on the other one. It would have gotten you the same answer. So you would end up with -6x minus 6y equals -18. 12x minus 6x. Positive or negative? Positive 6x. Your y's cancel. 24 plus a -18. Positive. Okay. Then you should divide by 6. X equals 1. Plug it into 4x or 3x? 3x? No, 4. Did you guys say 4? 4 times 1 is Is that the one you guys told me to do? Okay. Does it matter? You should end up with the same thing, agreed? You should end up with y equaling 2. Okay, start to finish on your own. Do that bottom one. The number one question I get here is, Miss Hoff, which one do I list first? You always go alphabetically, right? What'd you get A to be?
-5 You did?
I got -1. And B to be 4. Now here's what I want to show you. I'm going to guess that you guys didn't match your A's to be 24.
I didn't.
Okay?
I did 18.
So my point is what? You did it differently. As long as you do the process correctly, you can choose whether you match X, Y, A, B, and you can choose whatever number. You just got to mathematically do it correctly. The number you choose to match up isn't going to make it where, oh, I got it wrong because I chose 15. Okay, flip back to the front where we skipped that one. I'm going to give you a different problem. Okay, here's the problem I want you to do. -3/4 x plus 2y equals -1/4. 1/3 x minus 1/2 y equals -3.
We had fractions on Alex today.
Nope, I just decided to waste your time. We hate it because it's fractions, right? So think about solving equations back in chapter 2. Whenever we saw fractions, what's the first thing we did? Multiply by your denominator. Don't multiply by the reciprocal because you might make a new fraction. You want to multiply by the least common multiple of your denominator to cancel them. So looking at just this left-hand side, what should I multiply by that will cancel all of my fractions? 4. So if I multiply this by 4, this by 4, and this by 4, my 4's cancel. I have -3x plus 8y equals -1. That's a lot prettier place to be. So then on the right side, we'd have to multiply by 6, something to cancel 3 and 2. So I'd end up with 2x minus 3y equals -18. Now, is that as scary? Now, in order to do the first step of this, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to multiply again, agreed? Pick whether you want to match up x or y's. But I always get rid of my fractions before I try to pick what I'm going to match up. Yeah.
right here. So, starting the from, also fractions, I was gonna multiply that to get negative 2y. I was gonna multiply like the half.
But then you're going to have to add and subtract with fractions.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
It
want
would
to
have
do
made it
that.
harder, but
Oh,
would
yeah.
that have worked?
If you can keep track of your fractions. How about this one? 0.09x minus
Or should we solve
0.12y equals 0.54. 0.5x minus 0.6y equals 2.8. I'll give you a second to get this written down.
should we solve the other one?
Okay, decimals can be scary, but they're easier to work with in fractions, agreed? So what's our strategy here? How are we ever going to figure out how to cancel one of my variables? What are you going to divide by? You can't add. Adding does not, you can multiply or divide everything to change it, and it's okay, but you cannot add or subtract. That changes your problem.
Should multiply it by 10 or 100.
And what's the benefit of that, Thatcher?
With the decimals, it makes it a whole different.
Very good. So on the left one, I would probably multiply this by 100, and I'd end up with just sliding your your decimal over 2. So you'd end up with 9x minus 12y equals 54. Then on the right, you should multiply by, if you multiplied by 100, is that going to be a problem? No, you just have to move your decimal twice. If you multiply by 10, you'd end up with 5x minus 6y equals 28. I think decimals are less frightening than fractions because it is a basic multiplication of 10 or 100. Okay? I would get rid of your fractions. Otherwise, when you add your equations together, you're going to have to add fractions, and then you have to get a common denominator, which is a nasty mess anyway. Agreed? Okay, if you don't want to do a problem more than once, obviously you still have a check button today. On Monday, you have a review. Are you going to have a check button? So how could you check it without even having to submit it? Like, for example, on your quiz on Tuesday. Plug it back in and make sure it works. Now, basketball. Boys, I think you're going to be gone on Monday, correct? You're leaving at like 1:45, something like that? So I will open Monday's review so you can start it in enrichment. Okay? Those of you that are going to be here, technically it's going to be open for you too, but don't forget you really need to use your class time if you're going to be here. We don't want to be chatty Cathy's. Agreed? Yeah. But I know the basketball players would appreciate to be able to at least get a jump start on it, so you only have part of it to do when you get home on Monday. All right?
We don't get back until like 9.
Yep. Okay, so you have paper in the back. I will get out more. Don't visit today. It's Friday. You don't want to have homework. Let's rock this. Okay, and then